Hello and welcome to another edition of UFO Video Addicts. Let me give you a quick preview of what I got in this video. The first is this video about 22 people who apparently died because of the UFO cover-up. And, if you recall, David Grush was asked during his congressional testimony whether or not people were hurt. Well, this video here answers that question. Also got this video here of this strange light that was seen in Brazil. According to this guy, says flat earthers will have a field day with this one because it's a local sun. He's saying it's a local sun, but no, I think this is some type of object that's lighting up the sky. I mean, many times people have, or I've seen those videos where people are seeing some kind of glow behind cloud cover. Well, I don't think, there's not a lot of cloud cover here, but could this be, what's creating those glows? And this one here, I'm not 100% sure about. It supposedly shows a craft coming in for a landing around a industrial area. And, the way these guys were able to stop right as this thing stopped, these guys are driving, filming this thing, and then they were able to stop immediately when this thing stopped. So that's why I'm not 100% convinced it's real. It's probably some kind of digital creation, but we'll look at it anyways. And then I got this video here of a fireball that was just filmed on January 15th of this year, flying over the skies of Japan. And then let's see, this is a video about a mass UFO sighting that took place on July 11th, 1991 during a solar eclipse in Mexico. This is VHS was getting really popular, so a lot of people had VHS cameras, and this was going to be a long duration eclipse. So a lot of people were going to be watching, and apparently 17 different people captured some object hovering over the sky. And some of these people were so far away, I don't think they were filming the same thing. I think there were multiple objects filmed. Anyways, I got this one here. Someone captured something moving across the moon from a ground-based telescope. And then this one here is also something going on around Saturn, filmed from a ground-based telescope here. You see Saturn with its moons, and then this object here fires something that floats or hovers behind Saturn. And again, whatever this object is, it is some kind of a UAP. But if you see the size of this thing, you think that, this isn't as big as a planet, but it's still, well, you know what, actually it might be, because I just remembered Saturn is pretty big compared to Earth. So if this is a planetary size object, just imagine, again, this is, another one of those concepts that it's kind of hard to wrap your mind around, but there's a society out there that's building craft that can be maneuvered through our solar system that are the size of planets. But anyways, we'll look at that. And then last is this video here that was captured by a paraglider. As he's cruising through the sky, this object here passes him at maybe like at 100 yards. But anyways, we'll take a look at that. So, if you appreciate the time and effort that I put into bringing this information to you, please give this video a thumbs up. Please share this video, and more importantly, please subscribe. It really helped me out with the algorithms. But anyways, let's take a look at this here. The first person they talk about, or one of the people they talk about here, is this guy, Mark McCandlish, who was an illustrator, in a lot of these magazines. I can't remember what that magazine is called, but science fiction magazines and technical journals and things like that. Mark McCandless drew all these ARVs, or alien reproduction vehicles, and supposedly he was going to give some congressional testimony, and he was taken out. So let's just check this out here.
It's possible, and he believes there is a plausible answer to interstellar flight without violating the currently accepted laws of physics, according to a K source. Mark McCandlish offered to give testimony to the Senate Intelligence Committee and contacted Marco Rubio on this just prior to his death. His potential testimony, along with his obsession with building the ARV, probably got him killed, just as it got Gordon Novel killed and James Allen, the director of the film 0 Point. This is no distraction or disclosure dog and pony show. This is the trump card that Trump is holding, his ties to Nikola Tesla and this tech. And this is all about bringing 0 Point energy into the public and the battle to keep it quiet. Phil Schneider.
Oh yeah, so now they're getting to Phil Schneider. But I want to just say something about 0 Point energy. Yeah, that's something that that the establishment does not want out there. They want people tied to their energy sources. Think about how many hours you have to work in order to provide the funds necessary to keep your life going. In order to buy fuel to run your cars. Pay for the electricity in your home, pay for the gas to cook your food. Right? I mean, all of that supposedly could be eliminated with 0 Point energy, because instead of being tied to the energy grid, that they can monitor and meter your energy use. What if you just have some kind of device that provides all of the necessary power and energy you needed to run your life, right? How many hours wouldn't you have to work? Or even if you work, what I mean? How much of your money could be put to other uses instead of, a high percentage going to pay for your energy and power needs? But anyway, this video here gets into some of these people here: Mark McCandlish, Phil Schneider. Yeah, Phil Schneider's a guy that talks about building underground military bases, deep underground military bases, DUMBs, he called them. And apparently, in a few, or I don't know how many times, but I know he talks about one time where he blew a hole in the ground and it opened up a supposedly an alien base that was already, that had been there for a very long time. And he got into a firefight with some tall grays. And they also talked about here Dr. Carla Turner. She was giving lectures on alien abduction. So I think she might have found out some things, and they took her out. Danny Costellero, Mae Brussel, Dex Slayton, Brian Lynch, Captain Don Elkin, Roger Hill. Yeah, I don't know who some of these other people are. And let's see, let's go to this next one here. Okay, yeah, so this one was a light that was filmed in Brazil. Like I said, this guy's going to try and say that this is evidence of a local sun.
Welcome back. I've got an interesting one today. An interesting one, to say the least. I've been studying ufology and the paranormal for many years now with the best of my ability. And every now and then, I stumble across something that really pulls on my brain wiring that makes me question my own reality. So I picked this one up from a Joe Hanvey, who is a strong believer in the flat earth theory. And Joe was the one who filmed it.
Yeah, look at the reflection on the wings of this thing. That's why this thing really seems like it's there.
And documented this event. Joe believes he's captured solid proof that the sun is local. I'm not here to entertain the flat earth theory, the complete opposite in fact. There has to be a rational explanation to this video. The local sun theory, for those who don't know, fits into the flat earth model, suggesting that the sun isn't 93 million miles away like we've been told.
Yeah, well, anyways, yeah, I don't buy into that flat earth idea either. Like I said, there's a lot of videos out there showing the sky or even the ocean, with this color glow. So is this, what's creating that glow that we've seen in a bunch of other different videos?
because the model is pseudoscience.
Anyways, that's that video. Nothing too exciting about that. Let's see. I got this video here. Yeah, this one. I'm not kind of skeptical on this one. Let's let me start it from the beginning, or where we see it being filmed from some people moving in a car. Now, like I said, watch when they're going through an industrial area, and look how fast they're moving, right? I would think that if you're filming this, you're not going to know when this thing is going to stop. There's no way you can anticipate this thing suddenly stopping. But somehow or another, these guys knew when this thing was going to stop, and they were able to stop when it stops. Like right there. Look how, they stopped just as this thing is stopping. It's a little too suspect for me. I mean, it looks good. I don't know. I'm leaning towards fake. Pretty good fake, but I don't think it's real. This one here I definitely think is real. This is one of these meteors or fireballs moving across the sky. Sank at 6:55 a.m. January 15, 2024. And look at that thing, right? And it's not, there's not a debris. I mean, there's a light trail, but there isn't a debris trail, right? I just think that if this were a meteor, right, burning up through our atmosphere, you would see bits of meteorite burning off, as opposed to just a light streak. It fell at a ground speed of 42.4 kilometers per second. It flowed from the east coast of Sagami Bay to over Nagano Prefecture. Yeah, exactly. I'm not 100% convinced that this is a meteor. I mean, it could be, right? Like I've said many times, I'm open to being wrong. But I just think that, the multiple times that I've seen these green fireballs, I'm leaning more towards it's some kind of craft, some kind of intelligent controlled craft. Anyways, let's see. Let's check out this video here. This is about a mass UFO sighting that took place in Mexico in 1991. Anyways, check this out.
Due to the maximum duration of 6 minutes 45 seconds, one of the longest in history, one thing was certain. This would become the most scrutinized and photographed eclipse ever recorded. Unfortunately, many areas were blanketed in clouds, including the world's largest metropolis, Mexico City. Remarkably, minutes before the historical event was to occur, the volatile sky cooperated. The clouds began to dissipate just before the moon began crossing the sun's path. The city prepared for darkness. Shortly after 1 p.m., 17 different people, unknown to each other, in different locations, waited with camcorders in hand. Most were astronomy or history buffs, only expecting to capture the total eclipse on videotape. To the left of the bright object, and slightly above, a star, faint at first, beginning to sparkle in the darkening afternoon sky. In his black and white viewfinder, Mr. Laborde thought he was videotaping 2 stars. Across town, Mr. Laragivel also believed he was recording bright stars. Laura Hernandez saw a glimmer of a bright object as the clouds parted. Miguel Angel Torres, in the central part of the city, panned skyward searching for the eclipsing sun and finds instead a shimmering stationary object. His camcorder reads 1:22 p.m. Padre Manuel Ferrer, a Catholic priest in the southern quadrant of the city, focuses on the luminous orb in the darkened sky. What a bright star, he thought.
Yeah, like I said, this was filmed in multiple different locations. Let me go back to that one clip. Oh yeah, here's a side-by-side from two people. I think these guys were 85 miles away, right? And, based on this angle, yeah, I don't think it's the same object. I think this thing would have to be much higher in the sky for people who are, 85 miles away to see this. This thing, yeah, it doesn't seem to be high enough in the sky. So I believe that these are different objects. And if they are different objects, all being filmed at the same time in different parts of Mexico, right? I would have to assume that this was some type of coordinated event by the people operating these crafts. And if so, yeah, what's the agenda? What's the thinking behind, and which level of their society made the decision, right, to reveal themselves on this particular date when they most likely knew that a lot of people would be looking, up into the sky. So they revealed themselves. Yeah, I'm again, like I said, yeah, just more interested in the thinking behind it from their perspective. You know what I mean? What's their reasoning for coordinating this event? Anyways, check out the link. It'll be in the description. This is kind of interesting for me. This is from a ground-based telescope. Someone captured this object move. There you can see it moving across the moon. Yeah, look at that thing. Who is it that another guy, Bruce Caesar? He makes a bunch of these videos, using his, I think he's got a 14-inch telescope. He's capturing all kinds of activities and all kinds of structures on the moon. So there's definitely a bunch of activity going on up there. And I believe if this person is focused on the moon, anything in our atmosphere would be completely out of focus. The fact that this thing is also in focus, as the moon is in focus, indicates that this object is, definitely closer to the moon than it is to us or to Earth. Anyways, there's another one, video that someone took using a ground-based telescope. They were capturing Saturn and its, many moons. Now watch this. Again, I don't know if this is a moon or just a gigantic ship. But you can, here you can kind of see some, some tiny light moving away from this object and, heading towards Saturn. Yeah, you know what? This might be one of the moons. And maybe this is a craft that left the moon. But even still, if we can see this thing that, looking like this thing would still have to be humongous. Look, see, it seems like it stops right there for a few seconds and then continues on. Yeah, so there it moved behind the shadow of Saturn. You know, to remember this one, yeah, see, that was, I think that was an edit. I think this is just a close-up of the same event. You can clearly see, you know, this light source moving away from this light source. Again, now, I'm not too sure if this is a craft or this is one of Saturn's many moons. But there's no doubt that this light source is moving away from this. And the fact that we can see that this light source that big, that would indicate that, yeah, this thing is huge. Because remember, Saturn is many, many times bigger than planet Earth. So this thing may not be as big as planet Earth, but it's definitely huge. Anyways, that's that video. Let's go to this last one here. Let's see, yeah, so now this is this guy in a paraglider, whatever, captured this object. Anyways, that's that video. So yeah, thank you very much for making it all the way to the end. Hope you enjoyed that video. If, like I said before, if you appreciate the time and effort that I put into bringing this information to you, please give this video a thumbs up. Please share this video, and more importantly, please subscribe. I'll have more for you the next time. Until then, take care.